Making the Grade is sponsored by a grant from Monsignor Craig Harrison and St. Francis of Assisi Parish in Bakersfield.
Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Hendey.
And I'm Kim Cochran.
And welcome to Making the Grade, where we share news and information about Catholic education. And we are so happy to be back for another episode. Our theme this month is a special one. It's faith in our schools. And we're thrilled to have this program to share some great news about some of the shining stars in the world of Catholic education, but also to provide you and your family some additional resources to help you really bring the faith to life in your home. And that's really the theme of this month's show, is that faith in our school and faith in our homes. So before we get started with the show, Kim and I thought it would be fun this month to let you know just a little bit more about ourselves. I'm Lisa Hendey. I'm a wife and mother of two now young adult sons, Eric and Adam. I was happily raised in a home with 5 children, all of whom were given the gift of Catholic education. And it's been a gift that I've given to my own sons as well, with the partnership of my wonderful husband, Greg. So we're thrilled to have all been products of Catholic schools. Kim, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your family.
Well, I'm Kim Cochran, and I'm the principal at St. Anthony's School here in the Diocese of Fresno. And every day I get to work with wonderful students, excellent families, and a great staff. And so I'm very blessed every day.
We are blessed, aren't we?
We are. And I have 2 boys,
yes,
just like you do. And so my 2 boys
Note all of our gray hair.
My 2 boys, Logan and Jake, went to St. Anthony's and then on to Memorial, and by the grace of God, have now graduated from college. So amazingly enough,
You're going to be working on the next generation of Catholic school students pretty soon.
That's right. Here they come in the next few years. So I'm thrilled to be working with you on our program, Making the Grade.
Full-time principal at a Catholic school, part-time TV star.
There you go.
There you go. Well, as I mentioned, our theme for this month is actually faith in our schools. And when I thought about this theme and I thought of who I wanted to really focus on this month as our guest, the very first person who came to mind, actually I should say we had our shining star of our bishop last month, but the first person I thought of was one of the favorite teachers that we've had over the years, which is Mrs. Carmalinda Gennock. And Kim's going to just introduce us to Carmi and let us know a little bit more about her.
Well, every day I get to work with a great staff at St. Anthony's, and Carmen Jannock is one of our 2nd grade teachers, and she has worked in the Diocese of Fresno for 20 plus years. And just last week we got to travel to Houston to the National Catholic Education Association conference, and Carmi won an award and has been recognized as the Distinguished Teacher for 2013, and so we are so proud of her. And so we're so glad that she's here today with us on Making the Grade.
We are. And Carmi, we're going to be coming back to you in a few minutes to tap into some of that spiritual wisdom that Kim and I both know that you're here to share. But before we do that, we're actually going to introduce a new feature that we have this month on Making the Grade, which is our famous Catholic School Graduate of the Month. And so our Catholic School Graduate for this month is none other than our brand new Pope, Pope Francis, and we thought we'd let you know a little bit more about the role that Catholic education played in his life. Pope Francis was born Jorge Maria Bergoglio in 1936 in Buenos Aires in Argentina. He received his first communion at the School of Mercy, where he's remembered as a particularly pious student. After studying to be a chemical technician, Jorge heard and answered his own vocational call and was ordained to the priesthood in 1969. Father Bergoglio served as Argentina's provincial superior of the Society of Jesus, so we know him as a Jesuit, and became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. Later was created a cardinal, Cardinal Bergoglio. So now we know that following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, the papal conclave elected him as our 265th pope, and he chose the name Pope Francis in honor of St. Francis of Assisi. Pope Francis is the very first Jesuit Pope and the first Pope from the Americas. So please join us, the entire crew of Making the Grade, in sharing your prayers for our Holy Father, Pope Francis, as he moves forward in his pontificate. And again, we will be featuring every month a brand new Catholic School Graduate of the Month. This month, Pope Francis.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that information with us.
It is. It's good to know so much
smile,
about him. He does. He's
love his smile.
Love him already.
And we have just been so excited about Pope Francis because he is such a humble pope. And so we're so happy and blessed that he is our pope now. And so Carmi, another humble person, is going to tell us a little bit about her family and herself. And please share.
I have an amazing husband. My husband, Chris, will be married 40 years this coming Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And I keep saying I'd love another 40 years, but every day that we get together is absolutely a gift. And we've been very fortunate and very blessed. We have 2 amazing sons, like the 2 of you, and they're both grown adults now.
I know.
And my oldest son was just married recently this past September. So now I have a new daughter to love too, and hopefully someday we'll have little ones running through the house, and we can enjoy that. I come from a family of 6, and my husband comes from a family of 8, so kids everywhere. 21 nieces and nephews. So
Carmi, tell us, what inspired you to pursue a career as a teacher? Is that something that you dreamed of when you were a little girl?
You know, I had some amazing teachers when I was in school, and they just were so inspiring and loving and giving, and you know, I always thought this would be something I'd love to do. And coming from a large family, I just loved children and loved reading and loved sharing stories with them and drawing and math and all of that. And so when college came along, I thought this is something that I think God's calling me to do. And so that's really how that journey began.
She definitely loves reading. There's a lot of reading that goes along in her classroom. You know, Carmi, before you came to our diocese and began teaching in Catholic schools, you worked with special ed students. Yes. And so you want to tell us a little bit about that and maybe your early career as a teacher?
I've had the privilege of working with different children with disabilities, emotionally disturbed kids, mentally retarded kids, behavior disorders, language, learning disabilities, and every child is special and unique in their own way, and whether there's a disability that's recognized or something that's even hidden in children in a regular education, I love teaching the special ed kids. They're so warm and inviting and very humble and accepting and loving. So I found that journey to be quite beautiful. And then it was time for me to have kids, so I was gifted with the ability to stay home for 8 years with my boys. And was an at-home mom, and loved every second of that. It was definitely some of the most amazing moments of my life.
Sure. So you've been teaching for over 20 years now at St. Anthony's, a Catholic school, and I have to say I credit you with my own husband. Let me not get teary saying this, but I credit you with my husband coming into the Catholic Church. He began his journey into the church after, I think, being exposed to you and your wonderful influence on our domestic church. So thank you for that. And really with this theme of faith in our schools and really what sets apart a Catholic school from any other school, you know, what do you have to say about this role of faith in education and also the impact that it can have on a home?
I think faith has to be the core of who we are, whether we're at school, in home, whatever it is we're doing, whatever we pursue in life, whatever age we are. God must always be first. And if we live that, if we know that our day begins with Jesus, this day is yours. You are the center of my life, and I hope that I can go forward today and honor you and praise you and do the work that you need me to do. You know, when you talk about your husband, it wasn't really me inspiring him. It was the Holy Spirit.
It was the Holy Spirit working through a very wonderful resource of a great teacher. And it just goes to show you the impact that a teacher has not only within her own classroom, but really on the family, which is, again, bringing back that theme today of faith in our schools equaling faith in our homes. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a really beautiful example of a program at Our Lady of Fatima School in Los Banos, California. And this really typifies has been done when we look at teaching our children the faith, but then also having them translate that into action. So we're going to share with you a video that was done by Joe Maiden, our own Joe of KNXT, and it really shows the children in conjunction with the Matthew 25 program raising needed funds for Bibles for inmates. So here's that video program for you.
1031 to 26 at 1911 Wickersham.
Thank you very much. And what did we do to collect the money then?
We did a penny for patients.
We did penny for patients as a school, okay? And then in second grade classroom, we also did it too. So, what was the difference when we collected the money at Advent to the money we collected during Lent? Really? So rather than taking the chocolate ourselves, we're going to take that money and save it for the poor. So very good.
I try to encourage them to have something a little bit more self-sacrificing, so they think beyond themselves, and that they, if they want a candy bar, perhaps the money they would spend on a candy bar, they would put in their little tithing cups, and bring that in also. So the children were able to save enough money every year that we usually donate it to the local pantry. But this year we found a different need for the money. We like to teach them about the corporal works of mercy. And probably the hardest of those works is visiting the imprisoned. It's something that's virtually impossible for children to know and to have the concept of. So I was made aware of Bibles being a necessity for the ministry program of the diocese. And I encouraged the children that this would be our project for this year. And we were able to purchase 30 Bibles to donate to the Matthew 25 Inmate Ministry Program. And I was very pleased with the children. And this year's class has been very inspired by this, that they want to collect the money now to be able to purchase Spanish Bibles for the upcoming year.
I like how we're giving the prisoners Bibles so they could learn about God and have God forgive them. That they can learn more about God just like we do.
Just like you and I. They have parents, sisters, brothers, aunts, and uncles. They also have friends and grandparents. We are all children of God. People who are hungry, thirsty, and new to this country, lack of clothing and shelter, and prisoners are underprivileged human beings. When we help these people, it is called charity. Matthew 25 thanks you and all the students at Our Lady of Fatima Catholic School for the works that you do in your community to help the underprivileged. The Bibles will be distributed to the men, women, and teenagers.
Again, this is such a fantastic look at faith really being translated into action in our Catholic schools. And this is actually a portion of a larger video that you can watch over on our KNXT YouTube channel. If you just go to youtube.com/KNXT1, you can find the full footage from this. And I'm just in love with those children. I think they're so precious. And it's just, again, a wonderful representation of the work that little children can do when fed the basics of the gospel and understanding their role in the beauty of translating that faith into action. So definitely check out the full video, and we want to say congratulations to all of those students at Our Lady of Fatima in Los Banos, California, and especially to their teacher, Mrs. Ram, another wonderful second grade Catholic school teacher, for the great role that she's played in helping to inspire those students to believe and then to take that belief and translate it into love and care for other people. We're going to go now to a quick break, and we'll be back with more from our special guest, Carmen Jannock, right after this.
KNXT thanks all its loyal viewers and respected businesses who have supported your Catholic television station. Now you can support KNXT with program underwriting by having your name, your company's name, or organization associated with your favorite program. Detailed information about you or your company will appear before and after each program or day part you select. Keep the quality and spiritual message alive and make a difference. Call 559-488-7440 today or go online at KNXT.TV to find out more about program underwriting on KNXT.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this episode of Making the Grade, where we are talking about our faith in our Catholic schools. Today, we have Carmen Jannock as a special guest. Thank you for being here today, Carmi. Carmi, you know, today's parents are so busy. They're busy on the weekends and they're busy during the week. What do you say to parents when they're thinking about Sunday's coming and we got to get to Mass and we're so busy?
Well, I always try to explain to my parents, you're here at St. Anthony's. You're sending your children to Catholic school, and obviously your faith is the focal of your family, the focal point. So Mass to me is just something that is the very first thing we plan. And then the rest of our life, our sports, our activities, our families, whatever. But when we make sure that we're figuring out what Mass works in our schedule and then planning everything else around that, we always give God that Sunday that we need to.
That is such a great reminder, I think, for the families. And I know that we're coming into a special time of the year for you, which is First Communion season. And I get chills just thinking about First Communion and that love that our children have for the Eucharist. And I can remember with my son Eric that with him entering your classroom that you really helped him to become on fire for the love that he had for the real presence of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. I'm wondering if you can say a few words on what that First Communion moment means for the kids, but then also how we sort of encapsulate and continue that passion in them as they grow older.
Well, we are working, and First Communion is next Saturday, and we're really on a mission, that journey to Jesus. You know, my job is so rewarding in that every year I have the opportunity to take beautiful little 7- and 8-year-olds and bring them to the Blessed Sacrament. I get goosebumps just even thinking about it. I'm so on fire, and I told the kids, I want to set your souls on fire with love for the Lord. Today we worked on a beautiful story about a little caterpillar coming into the church and experiencing the monstrous and the host, the consecrated host, and Jesus' face in it. And then we created Jesus' face, and we built our monstrous around it, and so we're going to hang those for our First Communion week and for open house. But I tell the kids, we always need to know that Jesus is there. He is present. It's the Blessed Sacrament. And you're going to receive him next week, and your life is going to be transformed. You're not going to ever be the person you were, because now you have received Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. And the more you go to Mass, the more you receive Jesus, the more your grace is going to shine from you. And you can be that living chalice for all around you, and you can share and be Jesus on earth. Whatever it is that you go to do, and because he has amazing plans for you, each of you.
So beautiful.
Well, you know, Carmi was just talking about what she was doing with what she was talking about with her second graders, but then also last week, 2 weeks ago, she also went to our junior high retreats, and she spoke to the children there, children, 7th and 8th graders, and she shared kind of the same story with them.
It was beautiful because I had done the lesson with them when they were in my class, and then I got to go to each 7th grade and 8th grade class, and I had a lot of the same students, and I did the exact same lesson with all 4 groups. And we created a chalice, and then we had a host, and they wrote words and images of what that host meant to them. And I said to them, you're going to leave St. Anthony's. Our 8th graders are graduating. Our 7th graders are coming up as our role models. I said, how are you going to be a living chalice in your high school setting, wherever it is, whether it's a Catholic school, a public school, wherever you go off to, and how are you as 7th graders coming into 8th grade and being the leaders of our school, how are you going to be that living chalice? How are you going to let others see that Jesus is in you and with you and through you, and you're sharing him? Because that's really what our mission is every day.
It's
our
so
faith
beautiful.
is, such a gift.
When our boys were in junior high, they needed to hear that every day, didn't they?
They did, and you know what? I mean, I think that sometimes a teacher has an ability to remind parents about what's truly most important, and your modeling of this gives parents the tools that they need when they go home to really reinforce this with their children. But I think too that our own passion for our faith and our own hunger for the Eucharist and getting to adoration and being at Mass as frequently as we can, our children are watching that. So
absolutely,
it's a great reminder.
They are.
Great reminder. We are going to move now. We're inviting Carmi to be part of this experiment that we're doing for the very first time. We want to discuss the concept, but then what we also want to do is to share with you some tools that you can use in your home. So we each month are going to share with you our picks of the month, and we've asked Carmi to get in on this month too, to pick a tool that you can use in your home, and Carmi's going to go first with a great recommendation that she has.
I have a wonderful book. It's called The Weight of a Mass, and it really brings home how important receiving Eucharist is each week and why Mass needs to be the center of each of our lives on a weekly basis. It's a beautiful children's book, but it's going to touch anyone's heart who reads it.
I love the art in that book. I
Isn't
have
that beautiful?
One. Yes.
And it's based on a true story that actually happened. It wasn't with a baker, it was with a butcher, but it's the same story, a real life story put into kind words. Yeah.
Thanks. The Weight of a Mass. And we'll have these picks over at our KNXT.com website, so you can come through and click through and get the links for the book information that we're sharing. Kim, what do you have?
Okay, well, my book is so well loved, it doesn't have a cover anymore. And so here it is, the Book of Catholic Prayer, Prayers for Every Day and All Occasions. And it's published by Loyola Press.
Love that.
Love Loyola Press, right? And, about 7 years ago, I had a friend that came in and asked me about, well, what could I do as a parent, kind of like what we're talking about. What book can I go and buy so that every day I can share some Catholic prayers with my children, and then also my husband and I could read together. And so I started looking and started asking friends, and I probably talked to you at the time. And so this is just a great book because it not only has the prayers in there, but at the back it also has devotionals like the Rosary and different prayers for saints. And so it's just kind of like a go-to book that I think every Catholic family should have on their shelf.
Absolutely beautiful. So Catholic Book of Prayers from Loyola Press. And not surprisingly, I have 3 geek picks. We'll see if we can get through all of them. The first one is an iPhone app, actually available for Android as well, and that's the Confession app. And I love this app. You can create profiles for each member of your family. They're password protected. You create a profile based on your age, your vocation, and your gender. And then it actually walks you through the 10 Commandments and gives you an examination of conscience to help you prepare for confession. It's not going to confession on your smartphone, but you can use this to do a very thorough examination of conscience based on your station in life. So that's my first one.
I have not seen that app.
Yeah, the Confession app. My second pick, real quickly, is the gospel activities that we share each week over at CatholicMom.com, my website. We've got free coloring pages and crossword puzzles and word search puzzles, all kinds of tools that you can come on over and download. And these are based on the Sunday liturgy of the Word, so that gives families a tool to take to Mass with them. And my third pick, yes, I've got 3 because I was greedy this month. There's just too much great stuff to share. My third pick is another iPhone app. And this is actually the iBreviary app. And this is to help you pray the Liturgy of the Hours. Many people think that the Divine Office is just for priests, but actually we know that the laity are invited to pray the hours as well.
Yes, we are.
And iBreviary actually takes you through the daily prayers of the Church, the Liturgy of the Hours, and it's right there in your purse or your pocket, gives you little alarms. So I really, really love that one. So
3 great picks.
Yeah, we'll have picks each month, and they'll always relate to the theme that we have. And again, we'll have information over at KNXT.com for you to pick up where you can find these picks from. So now we're going to close out pretty soon.
Well, on every episode of Making the Grade, we will always close in prayer. And so we have a student, one of our students in the Diocese of Fresno, who will lead us in prayer.
Jesus, Good Shepherd, teach us through your Spirit to walk your way of light, to live your way of truth, and in all things to act with love and compassion. Help us to come to the Father by knowing you, loving you, and serving you in each other. May our schools be places of wonder, learning, and peace where lessons of today prepare us for the challenges of tomorrow. May your Mother Mary guide our footsteps as she guided yours. This prayer we make in faith. Amen.
Am I allowed to say that the student prayer is one of my favorite parts of making the grade each month?
So
Actually
great.
was able to go out into film with that student, and he's absolutely precious. So we thank him and all of our kids who are a part of this. And it really is great to see them in their school setting really embracing what they're learning in Catholic education. Carmen, we have just about another minute or so for another question. And so I guess what I'd like you to do is give us some homework for the families that are out there, and maybe just one more refresher on really how to take what we're doing in Catholic education and bring it to life in the home.
I think a couple things. Find a day when you're going to go into the chapel, perhaps as a family, stopping by maybe after school one day, lighting a candle, and thinking about people that you know in your life that need a prayer and offering that. Another beautiful thing is to pray a decade of the Rosary each evening together as a family. And to make sure, too, that you're reading those Bible stories, the gospel story, before you get to Mass, so the children are aware of what's coming and how it pertains to them in their daily lives. I think those things especially. I know when my boys were growing up, during Lent, they were altar servers, and so every Friday we went to Stations of the Cross, and we made a special effort to make sure we were there to walk that Via Dolorosa with them, and to attend, Holy Thursday, the Mass of the Lord's Supper, and Good Friday, the Veneration of the Cross. So those beautiful parts of our faith that really are the center of who we are as Catholics around the world.
You know what my parents did? This is so funny. I just had a flashback to it when you were talking. My dad, after Mass, would ask us Mass quiz questions. He sat on the steps, for all five of us, and had quiz questions. There was always one tie, all tie. So if two people got to the bottom step by answering their questions correctly about Mass, everyone got ice cream. Not surprisingly, most Sundays we all tied, but it was really a great way to make it fun, but really take home the message of the gospel that Sunday. And we do want to say there are so many families out there watching who don't have their kids in Catholic schools. Any words of advice for parents who have children in public schools?
Find a beautiful Catholic bookstore and go in the children's section and allow your children to look through things and pick out something that draws their attention, and then take it home and share that. If you're sharing the faith as a family, that beautiful written word, you're going to help to instill that love of God and how your faith really is the center of who you are as a family and as an individual. For sure.
Beautiful, beautiful words of wisdom. We are so grateful to Carmen Jannock, Mrs. Carmalinda Gennock, an award-winning teacher from St. Anthony of Padua School here in the Diocese of Fresno. It's been a true blessing. I want to have you back again because I'm not done soaking up your wisdom. But we're about done. So for now, I'm Lisa Hendey.
And I'm Kim Cochran. We'll see you next time
on Making the Grade.
Making the Grade is sponsored by a grant from Monsignor Craig Harrison and St. Francis of Assisi Parish in Bakersfield.